Welcome to podcast number 8. And today got one of up-and-coming DJs in Manchester and London. And I wanted to speak to him because I want to find out what other people are doing in this digital disruptive economy and creative opportunities. So, Emile, who are you? What do you do?
Hello, I'm Emile. I'm just here to give my thoughts and feelings on, as Emile just said, the digital world. I'm a DJ, I make music, and that's kind of my scene. I've got a little bit of experience in a bit of filmmaking, so I thought it'd be fun just to hop on here and see what we can kind of figure out and see what we can kind of like get to if we find some thoughts and something that can be interesting for the viewers as well. So just something, I'm just excited to kind of have a conversation about it all, really.
Superb. That's exactly what I...
Nail on the head.
Nail on the head, yeah, absolutely.
Wicked.
I'll open up. So you're what God, I used to call years ago the digital native. You've been born into this digital world. I don't know if that means that you appreciate the opportunities or it's completely natural and normal and it's just an absolute headache, or whether you don't even think about the digital world.
Yeah, it's a weird one, really, because like it depends, really. It's like you can get so distracted in the world. Well, it's two different worlds, really, isn't it? Like, even when I was born, obviously I'm not like a kid now. Like, I was born into like straight away, like into like a no phones kind of thing. Like, I remember when the first iPhone came out. Obviously, I'm not old enough to see before that, but I kind of remember a time when like it almost wasn't really all about that. And like, obviously what I remember now is just phones, and all this social media and all that stuff. But you really you get so immersed in it that you kind of forget about it. You kind of just take it as normal from my point of view, Obviously AI is in now. That feels slightly alien, but even then it's like, you find yourself kind of thinking sometimes like, I don't know how to actually do that. You won't go to a book. You won't go to thinking deeper or finding a personal opinion on how to do it. You'll just look to a robot. Like if you're looking for something like job wise, like, how do I market this campaign, or how do I phrase this in an interview, or how do I do this? It's not your own character anymore. It's kind of coming from someone else. And that's kind of like the normal nowadays. And that kind of feeds on to like creativity as well. So obviously like we both work in like the creative industry, and I feel like that kind of does carry on like more and more every single day. You know what I mean?
I do. I saw something good recently that somebody talked about. Well, the AI is in filmmaking is in the process, and it's in the production process. So we're all using it in a production process, and it's interesting you immediately pick up on the personal change of life, because I guess for us older folk, it doesn't really lend true for me to have to keep asking for this, that, and the other, because I'm sort of set in ways anyway. But saying that, I have done recently, and got AI to do things, but certainly in the production side of it, rather than actually creating with AI. But seeing as you mentioned it, I mean, do you feel it as a threat? Because you're a DJ and a music producer as well, so you're writing your own music as well as DJ, and you think, well, why do we need a DJ when you can just plug in AI app in and they'll just do whatever the crowd is after, and can do that in the future? And also in terms of production, why would they listen to your music when AI is going to be doing it?
I totally see it as a threat. I mean, like, you would, right? Like, you see like people spend hours on content creation and creating their own world of like creativity, and for AI to be able to do it within about 10 seconds is kind of a scary thing, where it's like it's not like you feel worthless, but you kind of feel like you kind of looked out a little bit. You're like, oh well, what's really the point sometimes? And obviously you said about what people are listening to and how AI can pick up on that, but sometimes it's not really about that. And that might be like the turning point for AI and for humans, is kind of thinking outside the box, where it's not about who enjoys it, or it's not about what's in and what's out. It's more about you personally, your brain, and how it's meant to work for yourself, and kind of like that creative process kind of is only about you. Creativity is the most selfish thing, where you can kind of be yourself, and AI doesn't really pick up on that. It just picks up on what people want to see and what's popular and what, you know, what is being told to do. But like creativity is about breaking boundaries and about just being yourself, really. And like if you're being creative for someone else, you still have your own twinge on it, where it's like if you're getting paid to be a director, or you're getting paid to be a graphic designer, or you're getting paid to do this, it's still going to be a version of you instead of a version of AI where they're just getting told to do something.
Do you have fans? Do you have fans that want to know you as a person? There's a sense in the movies, not for many movies. We got this same thing as a music, I guess, a totally mainstream mass audience that are catered for with whatever scurrilous ways can be done to get people either into the cinemas or watching on streaming, and it's a very commercial factor. And then indie filmmakers and people, you know, far more advanced and actually in the industry as such, they're all looking for an audience. Are you looking for an audience?
Well, I mean, with audiences comes a career, really, doesn't it? I mean, like, that's kind of like the brutal honesty of it. Like, you kind of have it, like, if you have an audience, you kind of have some legs to stand on in the industry. And you have like, well, you know, I've got people behind me that enjoy my work, give me work, kind of thing. Instead of like, this is my vision, and if you don't see my vision, then do one. And like, I feel like if you have people behind you where like, oh well, I've got per se 10,000 followers on Instagram that enjoy what I do, then fuck you. Do you know what I mean? Like, do one if you don't enjoy my work. Like, well, I've got other people that I can go to you know, be myself and to be who I am. And like in terms of like people wanting to be like know you in a sense, like personally, I'd agree. Like that's kind of also another catch where it's like, yeah, you're a great artist or like a great creative person, or you're just a great person in general that in your niche. There's also always someone behind it. That's why I never really understand like some people that are faceless or like anonymous people. Like obviously Banksy is a great example of that. You can't. There's always a bit of a thing where it's like, well, I don't know. I kind of like want to put a name to a face or like kind of know what they're about. Like if you hear someone's music for the first time and you don't know what they look like or they don't know how they are, and then you do know who they are afterwards, it kind of changes your perception on them a little bit. And that's always the case. Like and that's the beauty of like human interaction and not being AI, is that there's always someone behind the art or the work or anything like that. There's always someone behind it that's done it and that's worked hard on it. So I feel like that's definitely an important thing, you know?
Wow. Very reassuring that, you know, because like if you're saying this, I'm going to assume that your audiences are saying this and thinking this as well, and that the relationship of...
Well, I hope so. Definitely would hope so.
That there's something happening in the room, that is about the artist behind everything as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like, what do you think to it? Like, do you think it's valuable to kind of have that like humanness to work, or like to know that there's someone behind it? Yeah, so Manchester, in terms of the music scene, is so broad, and I really do enjoy like all the little niches and pockets that it brings. Obviously, station radio, crop radio are great for that. And obviously, I just want to be part of that with Camo and grow through those niches and through that community of like-minded people. And yeah, just trying to collabing with Crabs, really nice, bringing a different city, being Bristol, to Manchester, childhood friends. Yeah, just AI and Instagram and all that stuff is so lifeless, like, it's just, it kind of takes it away sometimes, like, do you know what I mean?
I would have thought that, the writing poetry and making films and music is a thing that you'd want us to be left with. Plato, the philosopher, had a "Behold the windmill, the saviour of humankind," and because the technology will free us from doing all the work and we can just get on with being nice stuff. So I used to believe in that most of my life, but in a digital age, I think the audiences are so stupid and so greedy in some way. They this whole content thing, it's not art, it's content, and we're here right now making content for us all, and I consume it as much as anybody else, so I'll put myself in that as being greedy. But I'm not sure what the value of art is, and I would have liked to have thought that what you're saying is absolutely right, and it needs a person behind it, and that makes it real. Yeah, I guess so. Maybe it's different in film, because us filmmakers think we're fooling everyone. Like you make a scene, you're doing a scene, and there's actually a fan going to make the hair blow, and it's not actually on the prow of a ship, and we add the clouds later, and we think we're getting away with that with the audience. So as a filmmaker, we're constantly fooling. But you don't fool people as a DJ, do you?
Well, no, I kind of. It's a live performance, really, isn't it? I mean, like, it's kind of the thing. It's an in-person display of yourself and how you communicate with music, and yeah, I mean, there's DJs that have come out and said, I won't even look up at the crowd. I'll play for myself and how I feel, and like, and if you have a fan base that's behind your type of music and your type of art, then that completely suffices. I feel like to film sometimes, like, the whole beauty of it is that that people are going to like it. But I feel like sometimes with music, it's so it's not visual. It's like its own art form where it's like just sounds. It's so subjective that, like, I mean, like, you could watch a film in silence of like an on loop thing for about like 10 minutes, and then it loops again. You could watch it for hours because it's just visual and you can pick up on different things. But with music, it's kind of a bit more 2D in that sense, where it's like you kind of got to be really behind it to enjoy it, and there's maybe a bit less of a platform for it, like in terms of like fan base. Like, actors are so famous because they're in so many visual films where it's set for specific like genres of people, and like romance lovers and comedy lovers, but like you don't know where people stand with music.
And I imagine the audience of a music, you can introduce them to a new sound that night. I mean, that was always the thing growing up, going out, and they hear something.
I mean, it depends if they end up in the smoking area or not, though. They end up walking out of the gig. You can't really walk out the cinema. You just say it's a shit film afterwards. But I mean, like, if you paid for a ticket to a night, then you should be like, oh, we'll go to a different bar or we'll go to a different nightclub, It kind of works like that sometimes.
And I was going to say, I was going to say, oh yeah, you're like theatre, you're like live. So the performers on stage can like change the pace up a bit, down a bit, depending on how the audience is feeding back, and you can do the same. Whereas in the film, if you're in the same room while one of my films is being shown, you've just got to grin and bear it. Even if you can feel something drop, there's nothing you can do. I suppose the equivalent would be if you turned up and just hit the play button for now, then you have to just stand there next to it. No, I mean, that's what DJs do anyway, isn't it?
Well, yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's not much to it, man. I feel like what there actually is to it. I mean, it looks like nothing really when you're actually out there, but it's kind of what happens behind the scenes. It's the same with filming when you have like editing and your sound design and all this stuff that feeds into a film is the exact same thing as music production and DJing, where you're consciously like picking what you're gonna play and how you want to act and how you want to be as a performer. And it's the exact same. Like, it's the exact same in terms of like creativity. Whatever's there on the canvas, on the screen, in your headphones, there's always something before the final product. You know what I mean? And that feeds back into the AI thing. Like, there's just final product. That's all it is. There's no journey or process. You can't say, all right, AI, make me a full song, but can you show me your processes where you've spent countless hours trying to sidechain a kick to a bass, or trying to make a perfect like door sound like on a synth, or like, you know what I mean? Like, there's none of that. It's just going off what they've seen through, I don't know how it really works. It goes through the web and it kind of picks up on different intelligences, and then it's done. Instead of it, you know, sometimes in the processes of trying to make something that you don't want, you sometimes get the stuff that you do want. And it might not be the result for that specific song or film or sound or anything like that. Be like, oh, well, that was the perfect sound for a footstep, or that was the perfect sound for a hi-hat instead of a snare. So it's like, sometimes human error sometimes leads to beautiful results as well.
Wow. I'm going for this. I've got a sense that, like, but I mean, I think you've just refuted it straight away. I was thinking about, I can walk along the street watching a movie or watching telly or just in a conversation with somebody, and something emerges, think, oh, that's a good idea. And from the idea can develop like a whole movie, basically, a whole feature film can be improvised and thought of, and over time. And the one I'm doing now is a sci-fi movie set in my attic. But it won't look like my attic. I was clearing it out before Christmas, and suddenly, ooh, this is a good room. I can build a space pod in here. And and from that, wow, I am now researching astronauts' lives, what it's like to actually live in space, and I'm trying to get the actual physics of it, the impossibility of space travel, really, to make a sci-fi movie. And other people, anyway, you have an idea, then there's loads of pre-production, and then in the film, like, you finally sort of get into that pre-production thing. And I don't even write scripts, I do structure things, but you got a team organized, you go into the production, and then we got the post-production as well. And I just wondered, when you're making music, do you just like get there, sit at the desk and start tinkering and start going, or are you walking down the street and having an idea? So I'm on about the creative process of being a music producer, as opposed to like what you know about making films, because you've obviously made films as well. Are they different? Are they different processes?
Well, obviously, saying walking down the street thing, you know, it's the exact same, where there's just light bulb moments in the creative world where, you know, it's in every single creative platform, you know, and like, it might not be from walking down the street, but it'll be a specific sound that I hear in a song, or like if I'm at a gig where it's a live gig, or like someone plays an instrument that I've not heard before, or I've not heard in a specific way, or someone's put a pedal on a specific instrument that I'm like, oh wow, it sounds so different, I really want to use that. Then you start to go, oh, well, I can use that, you know, in my own way. And that's kind of what you say, you know, like it's kind of the exact same. You take inspirations and you kind of create them into your own way. It's like a gentle magpie. But at the same time, there is times where I feel uninspired and don't know where to go with it. And sometimes they'll be my best sessions where I'm like, I leave the studio like, oh my God, I've just come in like a goldfish. And then I've just ended up coming out like a professional, you know? So
yeah, that does sound a bit like how a writer might work. Have no inspiration yet, can sit
it's
there
like,
and then.
how do you write a book if you've got a deadline and there's nothing there? There's nothing on the paper. And you say, oh, I've got a year to write this book that's going to be on one of the biggest distributors, but I've got nothing. How do you go off it? You know? And that's where sometimes there is benefits to AI, but how does us as humans combat that?
There is a temptation for me there, because I mean, this podcast's experimental movie director. I'm very keen on doing no crew. So I'm very keen on the whole concept that you can make a film by yourself now, like a composer, like a music producer. And I do that, so the only people in the room as such are me and the performers, without any other sort of input or agendas from a crew. And I find that digitally it can be done. It's also very cost efficient, so it means I can just get on and make stuff rather than not.
That's the beauty.
But with AI, you know, the temptation is that I'm just I can sit there and ask AI, you know, and write to AI, and I've got one in the tank that, you know, I need to do a full on script. I've done a half script, but the producer that I'm lining up to make, it's a proper investment one, this one, but they want a full script. Well, that stopped me in my tracks, and I keep trying to get my headspace to write that out. But with AI, the temptation from the way I work is, yeah, I will use AI, and that's potentially quite bad, because in normal film, we would both be having an idea, then we'd both be working on something, and then at some point the filmmaker is meant to have to go out and work with loads of other people to do that. But I guess you don't, as a music producer, do you? You can have the idea and you can crack on with it, then you can just make it.
Well, yeah. Wow. I mean, yeah, it depends really. Like, I feel like AI is kind of more valuable to someone that does visual art or someone that needs to write scripts in a way where they can just do it. You can say, oh, my name's experimental movie director. I've made this film. I'm really, really interested in these genres, and I really want to sway towards this genre. Make me an idea or a storyboard. I mean, like, I guess with music production, like, you kind of, if you have the idea, then you can build it. If you don't like the idea, you can strip it back and rebuild it. With film, if you don't like a scene, you've got to refilm the whole thing. Stripping something back in a music production would take you about 3 clicks. So I guess in that way, it is a lot easier to kind of learn from mistakes in music, where you can kind of go, oh, well, that didn't sound right, or that didn't really, like, I didn't really enjoy that. Let me try a different bass line, or let me try something else that's gonna be better, or better for me. So then I guess, like, yeah, you can just kind of sit down and crack on with it and get it finished. But with you, it's kind of a bit of a different thing, where if you've got some, you know, you're not sure where your head's at with a certain component, then you kind of have to really hit the drawing board again.
This is true. Related to that, and it only just sort of popped up in my mind today, the idea that with what you do, you're in front of the audience so often.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm going to be doing like one movie, and it's been over a year already, and it still will be a few months before I'm in front of an audience. It's like, oh God. I mean, do you appreciate the value of that? Or I guess it's just normal now. I mean, but I'd really like to be a film every week, and AI would help me do that, I guess. But, you know, that sense of, like, you know,
make me a movie. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? That's the scary part about it.
Well, that's a good point. You can do that with your films. In fact, that is a really good point, because, like, you make the film, then really you got to live with it for the rest of your life and keep putting it out into different festivals and different screenings and different places. So what you've said there is a really good way that, yes, I can experience audience more often. Thank you very much. Note to self.
Yeah.
That is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Rather than it being like now we've got to be a marketing, because everyone's moaning about that, of course. Like, you were just a filmmaker, now you got to be a marketer. It's like, okay, no, I will continue to be a marketer, because that means I can go iterative. I can go round and round and round, film audience, and pick up as much.
And then build that human connection that way as well. I mean, then there is someone behind the direction, you know. The more you perform, the more people are in your head. The more the more you perform, the more you're out to the people, and the more people realize there's someone behind the screen and that there's a slight personality behind the films. Do you know what I mean?
That was about doing this podcast. Yeah, the podcast helps me feel like that can be a thing.
Oh, Mal Williamson. Oh, of course. It's the guy that sits in his shack and just chat shit about films, and then it's like, well,
yeah, exactly. that can be a good thing. It can be a way of building.
Totally a good thing. Like, I mean, think of like a mainstream example of like Jack Black. Like, he's such a flamboyant, funny guy, and you like, oh, it's got Jack Black in it. Let me watch this. Or I don't know, can't really think of any funny film directors, but if you see them on a bus billboard, or you see them on Instagram, or you're like, oh, well, maybe I actually do want to watch that film because I actually really enjoy this person just as they are. It's the same with like artists, like Grayson Perry. He's such like a crazy character. People are going to go to his exhibitions because they're like, what's he got in store for us now?
Wow, that's absolutely, yeah. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. Thinking about that, yeah. And it just told me that
you don't go to Grayson Perry exhibition expecting normal. You go expecting to see penises and weird political stuff, and you're like, well, I actually want to buckle in for this, you know? You're not going to go, oh, I really want to see some contemporary art. You're going to go, oh, I want to see some shit. I want to see some crazy stuff. Or I want to see something that's going to connect with me, because I connect with his ideas and I connect with how he thinks. And there's no way of knowing how he thinks if you don't put yourself out there to the audiences. Like, he's got such a big Instagram following, or like there's documentaries about him or stuff like that, you know?
This is digital native, always been in it, but you're valuing the person, and you're saying that yeah, but the DJ thing is about you.
Totally.
Making the music and being in front of that audience, and the audience being able to relate to who's made this tune, or who's deciding on these tunes and what they're doing to them this time.
So valuable. Like, we're here in the earth. I know it's very cliche, but we are kind of meant for that. We're kind of meant to connect with people on that level where we kind of matter. Like, we don't have different brains for no reason. Like, there is a way that you can put yourself out there without sounding the same, and without kind of, like, it bores me to death when people are like, oh, can you listen to my new song? And then just like looking at the screen like, oh yeah, do you like my song or not? Just like, bro, like, put yourself out there and go, look, this is me, this is my dog, let's have a walk whilst I film. Oh yeah, this is this, like, oh, I did this whilst I was here. And like, there's a big connection to that because, you know, I used to work there, or, you know, something where it's like got a bit of you in it, instead of it just being like, look, I just logged into Ableton, or I logged into Logic, and then I found this really cool synth patch, and then I made the song. You know, you've got to be like with creativity, you've got to have the skill set, but you've also got to be that guy. You know, you've got to be yourself. You can't just be a boring old guy. You've got to be like an expert at what you do if you to like not be who you are, you know? In my opinion, anyways. Like, I feel like one of my strong points is that I can just talk to people and that I can just be myself. And people like that about me. Like, if I'm talking to a promoter that's like, you know, maybe trying to find one more artist for the next gig, then I'm like, I rock up and I'm talking to him at a nightclub, and then like, oh, I do quite like this guy because, you know, he seems like a friendly guy. He must have a lot of people that are friends with him. he must have a lot of people like that, like him. Why not? Let's give him a shot. And they might not have even heard anything I've played.
Really good fighting down.
So I guess I guess it's like, you know, there's skill and then there's also just yourself. I guess they matter just as equally.
I mean, I think you're making the artwork into like it's simply human connection, and ultimately that's what it is. And in a digital age where you can distribute and make quickly, even with movies, and easily, cheaply, it's about just communicating, and it's about making connection, about people making connection. So if I'm a filmmaker, I'm a person here making a connection. You're a DJ, and you understand that implicitly. And like, wow, I'm really glad we had this chat.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally like, I mean, another example, it's like we were chatting a while ago about Elastic Stage, weren't we? The whole new vinyl distribution where you can get it within a week. And then they cut and etch the vinyl instead of heat press it and spend months trying to, you know, distribute it out to people and stuff like that. And you just get it instantly. And it's kind of like in the medieval times, or like blacksmiths when they carve a sword and put their own blood into it and, you know, make a sword for a soldier or a knight. There's human connection there instead of making a sword in an Amazon factory from a 3-year-old Chinese child. There's a bit of a difference there where it's like you've left yourself with your artwork instead of it just being nothing, you know? And the other sword might work better, but wouldn't you want a slight disformity to your sword where you can call it a disformity, or you have a sword that is so original to yourself that no one else will want it, or that you can only use it because it's too heavy, or it's got a little dent where you meant to cut people's heads off or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Is the sword the artwork, is the sword?
Yeah, totally. I mean, the sword's the artwork, like 100%. There might be imperfections. There might be, you know, personal connections to the sword or to the artwork that people won't understand. But like, it works the same, you know, and it almost works better. You know what I mean? It's more expensive to you, to others, instead of just having a non-original sword. I don't know where I'm going with the sword thing, but I just like the idea of having a freshly blacksmithed sword, I guess.
It's an awesome metaphor for a work of art. And
yeah, I mean, you've got to put it in the bubbles, you've got to hammer it down, you've got to, you know, you cut your fingers, and that's the nitty-gritty of it, and like that's the beauty of it, you know.
We certainly know that in filmmaking. We certainly have that.
Oh, 100%.
Hard work, yeah. Hey, Emile, absolutely fantastic. I've had a 10-minute warning some time ago. Is there anything else? I've got 3 minutes left. Is there anything else you want to say to anybody, especially any of your people? You got a gig coming up in case any of your guys tune in, your followers or whatever.
Yeah, got a few gigs coming up. I've got one this weekend, Stage and Radio in Manchester.
What's it like working with other people then? Like the film industry, we do work together. Even if I do no crew, I'm still working with a lot of performers, and they put in and we all put in.
What's it like working with people?
Yeah, that's a big thing, even in your world, isn't it?
Totally. I love it, personally. I feel like also there's like not as much pressure on yourself, and you kind of have a bit more leeway where you're like, you know, I'm going to try some shit. And if it doesn't work out, then it's on both of us instead of just you being the disappointment or you having the mistake. It's like, damn, we both messed up, and like we can learn from that. Like obviously I do my own nights as well, like promoting, and you know, doing events with people is such a breath of fresh air where you're like, right, if you do that, I'll do this, and we'll just do it, because it's just like, right, there's half as much money investment, there's half of this, there's half of that. And all the worries just get halved, and then like all the triumphs get doubled. It's like, oh, I did this with my friend, or I did this with like a partner, or instead of, I don't know, it just works so much better in my head. And also like making music, you can feed off each other. I've been spending a lot of time with my mate in the studio recently, and we've made some absolutely amazing things, in my opinion, where I don't think I would have got to that conclusion by myself, like, because it's not quite what I'd make, but it's something that I really enjoy, and something that, yeah, like the outcome's always different, and like it's nice to have a different view on stuff like that.
Well, absolute genius. Absolute genius. Yeah. Very, very satisfying. Really great talking to you about this.
Thank you.
I think it's good that it's short. I'm going to keep it short because, like, I think there's more chance people just take some of this. This is great.
Yeah,
you know, we've got an old bloke and a young bloke, and it's like, wow, there's so much in common and so much different as well. So,
we need an episode 2 though.
Nice
in the future. Yes. Need an episode 2 soon in the actual studio.
Yeah, come visit from Manchester. Come to me in Hull.
Yeah, nice one. That was amazing.
See you soon, Emile.
All right, I'll see you soon.
Recording stopped.